Hi guys, today based on advice from my subscribers, I'd like to discuss topics such as intergender interaction and where it's all heading. I also share my story how I came to practice semi-retention in a non-stop mode. Let's dive into the trends in intergender relationships and where this could lead. Over the last 100 years, these relationships have faced significant challenges globally. This is mainly due to the emergence of the idea of democracy. This idea suggests that we all supposedly have equal rights. For instance, sexual minorities and women have been granted equal rights. Women have the right to education, careers, and all that. Also, in itself, the idea of democracy is quite controversial. There are influential clans lobbying their interests, and if you say something that undermines these elites' interests, they'll find a way to silence you. We saw this with President Kennedy and other notable politicians whose lives ended under unclear circumstances. Therefore, democracy is about manipulating the masses with the premise that supposedly everyone has equal rights. With this idea, women started fighting for their rights, leading to them having more rights than men today. Entering official relationships with women now isn't very safe, as divorces are frequent. In a divorce, children stay with the woman and the husband pays alimony, losing half of his assets. It doesn't matter who initiated the divorce, usually it's the woman. The man is always at disadvantage in this situation and has to pay alimony for more than 20 years. If there are multiple children, the problems become even larger. But as they say, the problem is not about blaming anyone. The problem is not with women. The issue lies within these laws and the distortion of concepts, turning everything upside down. Therefore, we must soberly assess what is happening around us. The situation is that the man's role in the family has been devalued, and women have received full protection of their interests in the family. Thanks to the development of the internet, information has become easily accessible. Many men have begun to question why they need all this. Thus, they begin avoiding entering official relationships with women. In some countries, this has led to demographic problems, which can only be solved by bringing in immigrants from other countries. When observing trends, the most successful families with many children, 3, 4, 5 or more, are typically immigrant families with traditional values, where the man is the head of the family. Native families, raised with democratic ideas, typically have few children, 1, 2 or none. This is because modern laws contradict the idea that God made man the head and the Eve was created from Adam's rib. These laws crafted by humans contain problems with far-reaching consequences. Knowing the essence means you don't have to follow these inhuman laws. You don't need to enter official relationships. You can still create a family, but you should be legally savvy to understand what you are getting into and avoid these traps. Finding workarounds is possible. Understand women's manipulations and how they try to get men into marriage, as marriage protects women's rights, while the man always ends up as a worker deer, a resource provider. Sooner or later, the governments of some countries start considering population reduction and try to find solutions. However, this takes a lot of time, as lawmakers need to take everything into account, and as this problem is recognized at the higher levels of power. The system is a slow, inert machine. Laws that protect men will eventually be adopted. The world maintains a certain balance that always strives toward equilibrium. But this leveling process is not quick and often takes several decades. We don't have to wait for all the laws to be passed. You just need to know the risks and decide whether to enter into official relationships with a woman. Many people live in civil unions, which gives you a better chance of avoiding the negative impact of these repressive systems. Overall, guys, the roots of this problem run deep because there is the golden billion theory. This has been mentioned multiple times, even by top state leaders. The golden billion theory suggests that the elite have decided that most of the population should be eliminated. A policy should be implemented to reduce the planet's population to 1 billion. They promote ideas to destroy traditional values and the institution of the family. making a traditional family a heavy burden for a man. Fortunately, the idea of golden billion is a little bit failed, as geopolitical situation in the world has changed now, but feminist laws remained. Therefore, self-sufficiency is crucial because if you fall into this trap, you'll end up in financial bondage, merely ensuring the prosperous lives of those at the top of the pyramid or matrix. The reality is, we should not wait for laws that might protect or balance men's rights. Also, discussions have started in the governments of some countries. Real changes are not expected anytime soon. But what will happen soon is our awareness of these dangers. Being forewarned is being forearmed. When you have knowledge, you know how to avoid traps. To do this, you have to control your emotions, because if you don't, you'll fall for manipulations and make mistakes that could have dire consequences for you. To control your emotions, you must control your desires and lust. You can do this by conserving your semen. Start with controlling. Try exercises like this. When you are very hungry or thirsty and about to eat, wait for a minute before eating. Just make a little delay before fulfilling your wish. By delaying gratification, you train your willpower. If successful, extend the delay to 2 minutes, an hour, or even 24 hours. This can be done by any desire. Sometimes delaying gratification makes the desire disappear at all. The same goes for sexual desire. It's merely a biological need, a biological program. Fish swim upstream to spawn and die afterward. Turtles lay eggs on the shore. These are the biological programs geared toward reproduction. Yoga, guys, is about breaking these programs, breaking the matrix. You think these desires are natural because you believe you are this body, because you don't know yourself and who you are. But the truth is, you are the indestructible Atman, the spirit which stands above the matter. I was asked to tell my story how I came to semen retention. Well, I'll briefly share my personal path. Initially, I had no intention of SR practice. I was a young guy, I had no idea like that. I liked women. I was very romantic by nature, and the emotions within me were so strong that they simply overpowered my intelligence. When I saw a beautiful woman, sometimes I behaved inadequately because I let my emotions take control over me. This often led to the breakup of relationships and making mistakes while thinking I was acting naturally. On the other hand, I had an inner sense of self-respect, and when I felt that I was losing the balance of significance, it stressed me out and caused an internal conflict. On one hand, you want a very attractive woman, but on the other, you are not ready to compromise. You don't want to be under this woman's thumb and fulfill her wishes because it contradicts your values and creates internal discomfort. Then I came to the point I started practicing yoga, and it helped me much to control my lust, which occupied a significant part of my consciousness. I tried practicing SR, but I was around 20-25 years old. I faced many setbacks and had no specific goal of retaining it for a certain number of days, like months or half of a year. I did not set such goals. Many guys abstain and count the days, and if they experience a slip-up, they start counting all over again. This creates a mental dependency on the result. Given that you exist in a modern world full of temptations, even great yogis cannot practice perfect retention under such conditions because there will always be setbacks. The point is not to never experience relapse, but to ensure that with each new effort your retention will be longer than the previous one. You should have visible progress and always maintain a positive mindset. In cases of setbacks, have strong faith that sooner or later you will achieve the desired result. Focus on progress, not on how many days you have abstained. And that, guys, is how it went. No, I did not set any ceilings for myself. I never counted setbacks. If they happened, I simply moved forward, disregarding the failures. I mentioned that I worked in places where there were many women, and there, I tell you, no SR was possible, because the vibes and the aura coming from women could provoke you. and some women were really sexy, giving you no chance to withstand them. I tried to ignore those ladies, and this made the things much worse, cause in such a way I created a high sexual tension around myself. While communicating with those ladies, they often use the chance to compliment me. Women might give you compliments and destabilize you. Anyone will lose touch with reality after hearing compliments, because we're all self-centered. Hearing that you are unique, possess many good qualities, and are an amazing person makes anyone believe and accept it as 100% truth. You might even think that finally I found people who appreciated me. But the truth, guys, is that in this world nobody needs anyone, and everyone is indifferent to each other. If someone gives you a compliment, it might be sincere, but generally compliments throw you off balance. The person giving the compliment makes you an emotional debtor, creating a mental connection between you. It's like they latch onto you, making you focus your attention on them. It's a woman. She activates your sexual energy, which starts to cloud your judgment. Therefore, guys, you need to learn to resist compliments and try to avoid them, because that's how it all begins, how the Matrix draws us into its network. Emotional roller coasters arise. One day you receive a compliment and float on cloud nine. The next day you are let down and feel downcast. Life becomes a shit. It's a cycle of highs and lows. You soar to the heavens with happiness, and then you fall into the shit pool to plunge into a pit of emotional feces. Up and down, up and down. Eventually, you start asking yourself, why do I need this? You start examining yourself and find this biological programming, this plugin that pushes you into this mess. Why to feel happy must you go through all this? The highs and the lows. Maybe it's this firmware that needs to be hacked so you can live the way you want. I came to the conclusion this programming needs to be broken. Sexual desire must be controlled. This rat race, chasing women, thinking you'll be happy with the woman. The Matrix promises you a tasty pie, but instead hands you a shit sandwich. You realize it's much ado about nothing, and you question what your true interest was. You understand that you were chasing vain ideas and adventures, having an unpleasant feeling and regrets over lost time. By around 30, I concluded that I needed serious abstinence, so the true results were still far off. I still socialized with women, with mixed success. Generally, I followed the no-fap practice, avoiding pornography and sexually stimulating images or topics. Occasionally, I managed to address my sexual needs. There were also women with whom I planned to create a family, but I departed them all, cause in the core of my heart I never wanted a family. I also used dating sites and even found suitable women for leisure, but seeking women on the sites is tough, with many trolls and those with inflated egos. So I lived like this until about 45, constantly pondering who I am, where I am, and why I need all this. The meaning of life always interested me, because I intuitively felt that our world is a simulation and someone is trying to manipulate and impose false alien values on you. And finally I arrived at the point where the practice of strict non-stop abstinence is necessary. I then realized that the older a man gets, the more interesting he becomes to women. Now I'm 53 and sometimes I catch the glances of young ladies. But I am mysterious because there is much mystery within me. I am not going to compromise my abstinence. Opportunities and chances to meet women begin to appear, and this happens when you no longer have the desire to pursue them. It's because something within you has changed and your value system has shifted. As I've mentioned, this firmware within us is sexual energy, or kundalini. It's a queen, a wild lioness, and if you have not conquered it, your life doesn't hold much value. Your worth is no more than a pissed-on doormat that everyone wipes their feet on. But if you manage to subdue this wild lioness, if you manage to control your lust and sex desire, then you're truly a cool guy, worthy of being called a master. And that's not just an epithet. So guys, I decided to go all the way. Also, I don't rule out the possibility that if a superwoman appears who can so capture my feelings that I can't resist her, that's possible too. I've met women who with their influence and sex appeal can strongly arouse desire within you. But if you practice the methods of desire control that I've talked about, you understand that any desire has a strong phase at the very beginning. And if you don't fall for the charm of this woman and distance yourself a bit, over time she stops influencing you. You start seeing her as just an ordinary person. Her charms no longer work on you. Although I am not urging anyone to follow my script exactly, because your life scenario might be completely different, and perhaps for you it makes sense to start a family. But as I said, preserving emotions, controlling emotions, is of utmost importance so that you can control the situation. If you control your sexual energy, you will control the woman and the family. Here guys, it's all about self-control. Learn to control yourself and then you'll decide for yourself when to start a family. Set your own rules. Don't be led, be a leader. So guys, sometimes we have to reset ourselves. Sometimes we have to charge our consciousness to be strong, to withstand the daily routine and challenges the life gives us. I want to show you the practice of meditation. So sit like this, your spine must be straight. So inhale and pronounce Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. Means I'm spirit. Just a little bit relax. Inhale, delay, exhale, inhale, delay, exhale. Aham Brahmasmi Om. Om, the sound vibration of the Lord, the cause of all causes. Aham Brahmasmi Om. Relax for a while. Imagine bright light between your eyebrow. This is the spiritual effulgence, the source of all what existent in this world. The source of all living beings. That effulgence is your spiritual source. Keep silence and meditate. You see only that effulgence. No thoughts are coming into your mind. You see only that bright light and you merge with it. Oh my Lord, let me touch this, your spiritual reality. Oh my Lord, let me enter this supreme self. Keep relaxing. Inhale. Keep delay. Exhale. Tattvamasi Om. Tattvamasi Om. Means you are that spirit. Chant the following mantra. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Inhale. Keep delay. Meditate on that bright effulgence. There are no borders, no body, no anything. Only that effulgence, and you merge with this effulgence. Keep silence. Just meditate and enjoy. Aham Brahmasmi Om. Aham Brahmasmi Om. Aham Brahmasmi Om. A little bit come back to the body. Open your eyes. Cherish the day. So, welcome to the reality. And so guys, I want to apologize for the rarity of my videos. I remember you and appreciate your support. To record a video, I need to gather my thoughts together and share something useful with you. But it's always many things to do. And I have lack of time now. You guys can also leave comments about what you want me to talk about. Thanks you all for your support. Thank God. Bye.